You are now standing at listening point 7 in the blower shed. You can see the enormous blowers with which the blast for the furnaces was generated. What was the significance of these giants for the iron smelting process? How did a machine like this work? Where does the smell of oil come from? A smell that still strikes you when you come in, although the machine has been out of use for more than 20 years. And what is the shed used for today?
You feel rather small when you stand in front of one of these gas engines without which iron production would have been unimaginable. Having said that, it was not until relatively late that anyone actually had the idea of driving machines with gas. In 1878, the German engineers Otto and Langen built the first gas engine. The ironworks engineers were quick on the uptake. If there were already gas-driven engines, why shouldn't it be possible to drive machines with blast furnace gas, the gas which was given off in such large amounts during the smelting of iron in the blast furnace and which, so far, had not been able to be used? In 1894, the Deutz Engineering Works built the first engine which ran on blast furnace gas. Although there were many problems at the beginning, as with all technical innovations, the new method asserted itself in the ironworks. The gas engine took over from the steam engine as a supplier of energy.
But how did a gas engine like that work? The machine consists of 3 parts. At the front, the heavy flywheel, in the middle, the actual engine, and at the rear, in the tall housing, the blast pistons.
The engine worked much like a car engine, except for the fact that it was driven by gas instead of petrol. When it was starting, the gas engine had a pretty big job to do, for it had to set the enormous flywheel in motion. Since the flywheel had a diameter of almost 8 metres and weighed 45 tons, the engine needed all the strength it could muster. But once the wheel had reached its working speed of some 75 RPM, it certainly took some stopping. It thus made sure that the engine ran evenly.
The blast cylinder is at the rear of the blower. Like an oversized air pump, it generated the blast for the furnaces. The blast was collected in enormous containers and then dispatched to the blast heaters through steel pipes.
The blowers at the Völklingen Ironworks developed between 2,000 and 3,600 horsepower. The 2 largest ones each produced 62,000 cubic metres of blast per hour. That amount would be just about enough to fill the whole of this blower shed. On setting foot in the blower shed, the visitor is struck by a strange smell. The smell of oil continues to prevail in the shed to this day. The machines were lubricated with oil. Indeed, nothing in the blower shed was done without it. The rapidly rotating flywheels flung the oil into the air and distributed it all over the shed. When the sun shone through the tall windows, the fine mists of oil reflected and refracted the light, and something similar to a rainbow was created. A colourful, shimmering oil bow.
If that sounds poetic and beautiful today, it was an aspect of hard daily routine for the machine operators. The workers in the blower shed breathed in the fine particles of oil. The oil settled heavily in the men's lungs, causing permanent damage in more than a few cases. The gas with which the enormous machines were driven was highly toxic. It escaped from leaky cylinders and caused bad headaches.
In those early days, the workers didn't even have the chance to seek refuge from the noise and dirt in their breaks. They had to keep an eye on their machines at all times. Next to the machine there would normally be a simple table and chair. There, the workers could eat the food they had brought with them. There were no fixed break times. Each man had his break when his machine allowed him to do so.
12 men worked in the blower shed, 1 machine operator being responsible for each blower. For a long time, the machine operator's working day was divided into 3 shifts, a constant cycle of early, day and night shifts, 56 hours a week and no day off. When a change of rhythm was due, they had to do a long shift, right through from Sunday afternoon to Monday morning. In 1960, the 4-shift system was introduced. After 7 days at work, a man was entitled to a couple of days off, time at last for himself and his family.
Starting and stopping the machines, oiling, monitoring the blast, such was the daily routine of the machine operator. However, each shift also had its own special tasks. The early shift was responsible for cleaning the machines. All the parts were polished with a mixture of oil and petroleum. Cleaning the cellar and maintaining replacement parts was the special task of the day shift. The night shift, in turn, scrubbed the floor of the shed with soap. The shed and the machines always had to be squeaky clean. By 1938, the blower shed had reached its final dimensions. In it, 10 blowers supplied the blast for the furnaces of the Folklingen Ironworks.
This is where your audio guide ends. If you go back over the footbridge, you will find on the other side of the turnstile on the left the transformer station with the shop where you can stock up with postcards, catalogues and books on the Folklingen Ironworks and its exhibitions. At the checkout, you will also find an event calendar with information on our programme. In the bistro B40, you can enjoy a snack or a drink.
If you feel like spending a little more time in Folklingen, we recommend a visit to the old station with its fantastic panoramic view of the World Cultural Heritage Site. In Folklingen's town centre, there is the Catholic Church of St. Eligius, the Protestant Church of Reconciliation, and the historic Town Hall, all outstanding buildings from the Jugendstil and Art Deco periods. We are very pleased that you have been to visit the World Cultural Heritage Site at the Folklingen Ironworks. We cordially invite you to come again soon with your family and friends. The World Cultural Heritage Site at the Folklingen Ironworks, one of the most exciting places in the world.